Hey everybody, Luke Gordon here, and I'm back with another video about FCEs, or functional capacity evaluations. And in this video, I just wanted to talk you through, if you're having an FCE, some things that I think will make your FCE easier and less stressful. So while you're doing the FCE, what are some things that you can do just to make it not so much of a stressful interaction with your FCE provider, which could be a physical therapist or an occupational therapist. So I just have 4 or 5 points that I'm going to go through. Again, if you're mentally preparing for an FCE, these should make your FCE just much more easier to get through. Less stress, less friction, less ambiguity about what is the clinician thinking, how are they rating me, things like that. So hopefully if you're having an FCE, at least 1 or 2 of these points will help you prepare mentally. I've got my computer here just in case I don't forget any of those tips. So the first tip that I have then is you want to communicate clearly and concisely when you're doing your FCE. So avoid long-winded answers. So again, they're going to ask you all sorts of questions on your medical history, what happened with your injury, what have you done for treatment, what activities are limited, very basic medical questions that they just need to get a really good view of your history, especially from your perspective as you go. What I would advise you to avoid is anything too long-winded. So if they ask you a question, tell me about the injury, then just tell them about the injury. If they ask a question, okay, then what happened next? Or tell me about your surgery or this. Just be as concise as possible. They're not looking for, a 5-minute answer to a 30-second question. So again, just try to stay tuned to what they're actually asking you and just give them the information that they're asking. Everyone on the medical field processes information differently, so you going down a rabbit hole might be really distracting for the FC provider. And unfortunately, it might give them the idea that you're, I don't know, kind of trying to milk the system or something like that. Which again, you want to avoid that impression from your FC provider, especially if you aren't trying to milk the system. They do want to know your medical history, so just give it to them in bite-sized chunks, however they ask you for it. So that's the first one. Avoid long-winded answers, communicate clearly and concisely. Kind of piggybacking on that one, then my second piece of advice would be try to avoid telling a robust sob story. Now, I'm not trying to minimize what you've been through or anything like that, and I know that there's definitely an emotional impact of these work-related injuries, especially if you've been off work for a while. Self-worth can come into question, all these things. There definitely is an emotional impact, and I'm not trying to say that it doesn't exist, but most FCE providers, especially if they're asking you specific questions, they just want answers to the questions. They don't want a huge sob story about how it's ruined your life and these things, even though, again, those things are very real. And there should be a time, to express those things. But again, try not to launch into a 10, 15, 30-minute sob story about everything, especially when the FC provider is just trying to gather information so that they can give you a fair test. So I hope that makes sense. Again, I'm not trying to downplay anyone's mental, emotional, relationship aspects of a work-related injury, because I know those are very serious and very real. But again, when the FC provider is just trying to get information, try just to give them the information that you can. That's number 2. The third one is try to be as consistent as possible during your test. So simple items like when they're testing range of motion or grip strength, things like that. Just try to give consistent, full effort the entire time. What will really throw people off is if you give really good effort over here and then not so much effort over there, and then over here and then over there. So just try to be consistent with every activity that you do, even if you don't think it's specifically related to your injury. So that goes throughout the lifting tasks, the walking tasks, everything like that. Try to give the best effort you can and do it consistently so that you're not getting wildly varying reports and objective findings. That's a really important one. That's number 3. The fourth one then is try not to over communicate your pain level. So again, not to downplay your pain level, but if you're constantly focusing on your pain the entire time, it's going to throw the FC provider off, and it might unfortunately give them the impression that you're not trying hard enough. So just try not to overdo your pain level, try not to over communicate it. It is real, it is valid, but just try to not overdo it. Lastly, stay calm as you can. Stress won't help you, it won't help your FC provider. Just do your best to just do what you can, remain calm, and hopefully have a good test. Those are my 5 pieces of advice. I hope you do well. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe before you go. That's it. Thank you.